but now he's got a world-class hierarchy all over the place, don't you, Ian?
They're
And,
everywhere.
yeah, it's like a guy goes to the airport and says, "I want a ticket." And she says, "Where to?" He says, "Anywhere. I've got offices all over the place." And that's what you want to have. But I think that what we're going to be talking about today, Ian, and everyone knows you, are familiar with you, and appreciate the how you, when you come across with a message, it's concise and applicable. And Cheryl Bartlett a few weeks ago said, "You only need to change one or two things for 90 days, and things start exploding for you." And so we've talked about that, and so I'll let you have it. And what are some of the things that people need to work on themselves? Because most people want to work on their businesses, but I know you've worked on yourself more than your business. Now look at your business.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, first of all, it's an honor to be able to be hanging out with you here on the Century Club. And you have changed my life in very profound ways. And it's just been an honor to be mentored by you and in your hierarchy. And you know, y'all don't know how good you have it to have somebody like the incredible Bill Orender still plugged in, still taking an interest in making sure that you get to where you're going. Because somebody like Bill doesn't need to do that, but he wants to do that because of the sort of person he is. And, you know, Bill was one of those guys that early on in the business, when I first heard him speak, I said, man, if one day I could be half the man that man is, it would be all that I could ever dream of. And, you know, I've known Bill for 14 years now, and he's just an incredible human being. You all know that. And so you're very, very, lucky there. And so I want to talk today about self-development. I think that that's a topic that everybody understands and very few people do. Okay, everybody understands they need to get better. Very few people do get better. I love what you said there, Bill. People want to work on their business, not necessarily on themselves. And I agree 100% with what you said that Cheryl Bartlett said. And I disagree 100%. Now, let me frame that for you. She's 100% right. There's one or two things that you could change in the next 90 days that if you change them, your business would take off. You would get some major momentum. However, how many times have you gotten momentum before and lost it? How many times have you seen that? Somebody gets going a little bit, they start doing the right things for a period of time, and as it should, those right things begin to lead to right results, only to fall back away from them. And here's the truth. Who we are right now has gotten us what we have right now. Okay. We should not expect to go much further than we are right now with the same thinking, the same belief systems, the same habits. Our best thinking has gotten us our current results. And for me, when I started in the business, I was a $27,000 a year guy, Bill. That's what my best thinking, my best skills, my best value in the marketplace was worth out there in the world, $27,000 a year. And I meet a lot of people in Primerica that somehow think they've got to become somebody they're not. They think they've got to be Bill Orender. They think they've got to be Ian Prukner. They think they need to be Cheryl Bartlett. But the truth is this, you don't need to be somebody you're not to win in Primerica. You need to be the best version of you. You are enough if you will dig out the champion that's on the inside of you, the way God made you, by the way, right? God didn't make losers, right? We learned that all on our own, okay? And so we've got to understand that we have that inside of us. The Bible says you've been given everything you need for life and godliness, but it didn't say, well, except for the skills you needed to win at Primerica. There wasn't an asterisk there. I didn't see that in the footnotes in the new Bill Orender version, okay? I didn't see that there, okay? It says you have everything you need, but we've got to start by understanding that we've got to change. I'm going to jump back and forth here from a couple of different screens, if that's okay. But I want to show you this kind of first picture, right? Is the power of change, the power of change. You know, when I started in the business, I was making $27,000 a year. I drove a Hyundai Elantra GT. This is a picture of our new summer house that we just finished building in Michigan. And life is very, very different for one reason, and it's the word change. Okay, the world is going to change anyways. Are you going to change along with it, or are you going to resist that? It's up to you. Okay, and so the truth is this, Bill, I don't think there's very many people on here who need to know more about what to do. Is anybody confused that you should recruit people in our business? Have any of you never heard that? You say, honestly, Ian, I've never heard that I should recruit people. I've never heard it. You just go ahead and put it in the chat. You could say, that's me. Okay. If that's you, you must be very new. Okay. And we'll pray for your upline. Okay. So listen, that's number one. Okay. Any of you confused that we sell, buy term, and invest the difference? Is anybody confused about that? Anybody not know the rule of 72, the term insurance is the best way to go? Is anybody confused about that? Now, the truth is this, most of you have recruited somebody before, at least one, right? Most of you have made a sale before, right? Okay, at least one, probably many sales. So if you made one, you don't need to know more about how to do that. You already did it, right? Okay, if you got to recruit, you don't really need to know more about how to recruit people, Horace. You know how to recruit somebody, you've done it before. Okay, we don't need to know more about what is to be done. Okay, we need to find more leverage on ourselves to do what needs to be done. We all know what to do, but the biggest gap in the world, Bill, the biggest gap, the biggest chasm, the biggest distance in all of the planet Earth is the distance between knowing what to do and doing what to do. Would y'all agree with that? Y'all know what to do, but many times we can't get ourselves to do what we need to do. And we go back to Cheryl's example, right? If you just changed a couple things, if you just started doing what you knew, you would begin to have different results. And that's totally true. When we change our actions, what we do, we ultimately change our results. But I want to introduce to you a concept that I wrote a book about, actually. I'm going to introduce to you this concept called T-bar, okay? And T-bar is a system, it's a process. You don't really actually need to learn this because you already know it. You're already using it right now at this moment. Every person on here, their entire life is being created by this acronym. And what this says is thoughts, thoughts become beliefs. Anything thought often enough, vividly enough, eventually moves from your conscious level of thought to the subconscious acceptance of belief. Your beliefs eventually create your actions, and your actions eventually create your results. What you think about becomes your belief. What you believe eventually creates your action, and your actions ultimately are most responsible. They're most responsible for your outcomes. Everybody's following this right now. Does that make sense to you? What I do ultimately determines what I get. The problem is what I do is not standing alone. Does this make sense? So you say, well, I know I'm supposed to recruit. I know how to recruit. I have great teachers. I have great mentors. I'll just start doing it. I know how to set appointments. I'm going to start setting more. I'm going to be on a 90-day madman blitz. I'm going to do. I'm going to do all these things. Okay. And that's fantastic. It's sort of like the person who gets a little sick of looking at themselves in the mirror and says, I need to get my Florida body on, right? Okay, and all of a sudden they're eating stone chips and, earthen, gluten-free, this, that, and the other thing. And they're at the gym 6 days a week. And it's like a totally new person, right? For a while. And then the holidays come and it's like, oh, I'll just have one whole apple pie. No big deal. It's a holiday. I deserve it. And then all of a sudden you don't feel good. You get sick for a couple of days. You get out of the routine. And before you know it, who are you? You're exactly who you were before, right? How many times have you seen this? How many times have you said, I'm going to be a better husband. I'm going to be a better agent. I'm going to be a better father. I'm going to be a better wife. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to fill in the blank of all our noble aspirations, our wonderful best idea of ourselves. And we start doing, but we don't finish. We start doing, but we don't finish. And in 14 years of leading people, and really a few years before that, Bill, when I was in the ministry, building teams of people, right? Building teams of people to serve a cause bigger than myself, right? What I learned about people is there are a lot of starters, a lot of well-intentioned people, but very few finishers, very few people who stick through something long enough to get the victory that they desire. Why? Let's go back. T-bar, right? Thoughts become beliefs, become actions, become results. Most people, most of the time, try to solve their problem here. They don't like this. They say, I don't like my result. I don't like my weight. I don't like my income. I don't like my fill in the blank. And so logically, the thing that is most directly correlated to their result is what? It's the action they're taking, right? What they're doing or what they're not doing. Y'all understand that? Okay. But what happens here is this. So what people try to come in and do, is they try to change this green action and make it blue. I'm going to do this different action. They try to substitute a new action in here, right? And for a period of time, that new action will yield some level of new result. The problem is this action is not standing alone. It's actually being created by the belief systems that were already there. The action you were previously doing. Hey, look, okay, if you're not setting the amount of appointments you need to set right now, if you're not eating the right way, okay, that is because you have a thought process and a belief system that are creating your current actions or inactions. Let me give you an example of this. Okay, so imagine, Bill, that a fire alarm starts going off in your house and you look into the kitchen and you see smoke. You're like, uh-oh, the house is on fire. You grab your kids, maybe something out of your safe, some family pictures, and you head out the door, right? You head out the door. Now, come to find out, it was just somebody burning food in the oven. There was no fire. There was no real danger. Yet that didn't stop you from taking action like there was a fire. You believed there was danger. You acted accordingly. In reality, there was no danger, just a bad chef, right? Okay, but that did not stop you from taking action. Everybody understand that? That's how our action works. All of our actions ultimately are the byproducts of the belief that create them. For example, I know I need to recruit more people. I know how to recruit more people, yet I'm not recruiting more people. You follow that, right? Okay. What's going on there? Let me draw you a picture. Okay. Our thoughts create our what? Create our beliefs. Our beliefs create our actions. Our actions create our results, right? Our actions create our results. So most of us know we have the right thinking, right? Okay. I know I need to recruit more people. I know how to recruit people, but that never makes its way to action. So the thinking is good. The action is not good. Where's the culprit? What is stopping us here, right? We're trying to go from here to here, right? We have the right thinking, very good, but it doesn't make its way to the action. Where's it stopping? It's stopping in our belief system. I know I need to recruit. I know I can recruit, but honestly, I've recruited a lot of people and most of them just waste my time. And I haven't found anybody that wants it like me. and maybe nobody will make the commitment that I'm willing to make. Or maybe people in my area don't want it like other people. Or maybe I'm not a good enough leader, and every time I recruit somebody, they don't stick. Or. Those were all examples of false beliefs. Those are all examples of false beliefs. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person, right? You could be a terrible leader and you introduce the player to the game and watch out, right? But you believe maybe that you're not a good enough leader. And so your belief says, well, even if I get them, they're not going to do anything. So why would I bother getting them? That's what your belief says. You might not be verbalizing that, but on the inside. And so you know you need to recruit. You know recruiting is the answer. You know that's your ticket to freedom, but you don't do it. Because you've got a belief system that says, even if I do it, it's probably not going to matter. Even if I do it, I'll probably just spend all my time and I won't find the right one. Even if I do it, I won't find. Does this make sense to you all? Okay, y'all understanding that? All of life can be broken down through the formula of T-bar, right? Thoughts, beliefs, actions, results. Your results are the perfect product of the action that creates them. Your actions are the perfect product of the beliefs that underlie them. Your beliefs are the product of your directed thinking, Everybody understand that? And so most of us don't need to know more about what to do. We need to find some more leverage to do the things that we know to do, but aren't doing. And that leverage exists here. It exists in what you really believe about who you are, where you're going, and what you're capable of. Okay, those things, they cause every result or lack of result that you are currently experiencing. So remember, Bill, I said that the biggest gap in the world is the gap between knowing what to do and doing those things, right? Okay. Imagine for a second that it was possible that you could know yourself enough that you knew how you were motivated, how you were demotivated, and that you could recognize that and use those things to move from, I know I need to do this, to actually doing it 100% of the time, whether you felt like it or not, no matter what was going on in your life. And Bill, that's the only thing that I've done different than most people that join our business, is I studied myself, right? He who cannot lead a state shouldn't lead a country, right? And he who can't lead a city shouldn't lead a state. And he who can't lead a town shouldn't lead a city. He who can't lead a family shouldn't lead a town. And he who can't lead themselves shouldn't be leading anybody, right? Okay. And so we are our own worst enemy and our own biggest champion. And the truth is this, Bill, most of us never get control of us. We never stop to ask ourselves what we're thinking about. Most people are not thinking about what they're thinking about. Most people have never evaluated their belief systems and asked this question. Ready? This is a multi-million-dollar question. Are my beliefs serving me? Are my beliefs serving me? The natural state, Bill, of God's world is growth, not just growth, multiplication. Look at a tree. From one seed comes tens of thousands of seeds, comes tens of millions of seeds in 2 generations. That's God's plan. Have you ever seen a baby? You ever seen a baby being talked to by a motivational speaker? I know you can walk. I know you can do it. Don't give up. You're better than that. One day you'll be big. You ever see him talking to the kid like, grow. I'm going to be big. What happens? They grow by themselves. That is God's way. Watch this. If your result, remember T-bar, right? If your result isn't growth multiplication, something is wrong in this process. If you have bad thinking, that will create bad believing, which will create bad actions, which ultimately create bad results. If this is not as you would want it to be, then your beliefs are not serving you. You have believed something to be true that simply is not true. When you have a false belief, you'll take a bad action and you'll get an unpredictable and less than desirable result. Everybody understand that? Y'all getting what I'm saying here? Okay. So you've got to invest time, effort, and energy into questioning the beliefs that hold you back. You say, well, money's evil. I don't want too much money. If I get too much, I might lose my soul, all these things. Well, is it any wonder money repels from you? When deep in your heart, you're scared of the money because you believe it might make you something you're not. Money will not make you anything. Money exposes you. It does not change you. Do you see that difference? By the way, so does power, right? So does status, so does influence, so do all the things you're secretly afraid of because you believe erroneously they're going to change you. Folks, only you can change you. Okay, only you can change you. Outside things, circumstances, and others don't have the capacity to change you. They merely expose what's already there. Are my beliefs serving me? Are my beliefs serving me? Say, well, Ian, how would I know? That's a great question. And by the way, Bill, it's so frustrating to me because how do you take 14 years of growth and self-development and put it in 40 minutes? Right? I mean, how do you do this? And the answer is you really can't. That's why I'm going high level overview with y'all. Does this make sense? I'm giving you the framework that is the system. It's the process. When you get the framework right, you can use that in every area of your life. Think about, you want to get healthy. Well, why have you not gotten healthy yet? Well, I don't know. Well, that's not true. Let's begin to expand your belief systems and expose them. Some of you believe it's harder for you to lose weight than others. It's just different in my genes, in my family. I'm just big boned. It doesn't matter what I eat, right? And you've got this thinking, right, that has become a belief system that says, well, even if I work out and eat right, it's just going to be harder for me than other people. It may not work anyways, right? And so if you don't believe it's going to work, why would you try? Why would you waste your time? Why would you be all sore every day coming home from the gym? Why would you not eat the food you want if you really don't believe it matters? Does this make sense to you? Right? Many of you think erroneously that if you don't set your appointments today, you'll be okay, you'll get it tomorrow. That's a false belief. That's a false belief because tomorrow you'll be at a deficit. It'll be harder tomorrow than it was today, and you didn't do it today, right? It's not going to be easier. It's not going to be better. There will be nothing you gain from that. But yet, many of us have that belief that what we do today doesn't really matter. Many of us, Bill, have a belief we're waiting for our ship to come in. The one right recruit, right? That you're one recruit away from an explosion. The one break, the one person to hear your song and you're going to be the hit musician, right? And the truth is this, it's not the one big break. It's the million small things you do right on a daily basis that compound into the big breaks. The big breaks don't come if you don't do the little things right. Does that make sense? And so this is a message that I love, Bill, because people ask me all the time, they say, Ian, do you really believe anybody can be successful? I say, not only do I believe that, it is factually true. It is factually true. Because all you need to do to change your results, is change your action To change your action, you must change your believing. To change your believing, you must change your thinking. So if you change your thinking, if it fundamentally changes over time, that will automatically create a change in belief. When your belief changes over time, it will automatically create a change in activity. When your activity changes over time, it automatically changes your results. Anybody, Bill, can change this because this is the byproduct of these. It's the byproduct of these. This is made from these things. If you change an ingredient in your recipe, you will change the thing you bake. End of story. Does this make sense to y'all? So, Bill, this goes back to understanding how much control we really have over the outcome of our lives. Most people are victims. Victims say, I'm not in control of my outcome. It's the government's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's the school. It's the community. It's fill in the blank. And what they are doing is they are totally discounting what is really creating their reality, which is poor thinking, poor believing, which leads to poor actions and ultimately poor results. Make sense? How do we know this is true, Bill? Well, if it was really an outside circumstance causing your problem, if that was really the true cause, then nobody would escape that situation. Yes or yes, right? If that is causing it, then it would cause it for you and me and everybody else. But if you can find an example of somebody who has risen above their circumstances, then, well, the circumstances may make something more difficult, more time consuming and other things. We're not going to discount that, but they are not the contributing, deciding, and deliberating factor of how you grow and change. It is the inside, not the outside, that matters. And yet everybody's trying to change the world around them, and nobody's trying to change the world inside them, right? And Bill, what I learned early on in this business is that I was not good enough to make my goals and dreams come true yet. That was one belief, but watch this, guys. Write this down. This is a multi-million-dollar belief, probably $1 billion belief. I'm not good enough to make my dreams come true yet, but I can be. But I can be. Why? Because you can change your thinking. You're in control of what goes in, right? Bill, you said, right? What goes in eventually comes out, right? Garbage in, garbage out. You have control over what goes in. You have control of what you dwell on, what you think about. You can purposely create new belief systems that ultimately create new actions and new results. And folks, it's easy. It's easy. I love this. It's no harder for a winner to win than a loser to lose. They'll have the same amount of time in a day, relatively same amount of energy. What's happening? A winner is on default doing winning habits because they have winning beliefs and winning thinking, right? And that's just what they do. Have you ever met a bodybuilder? Do they get up every day and complain about their diet and like having to go to the gym and all? That's just what they do. That's who they are. That's who they are, right? You ever met an SNSD in Primerica get up and complain every day about having to set appointments, dealing with people, all these things? No, that's who they are. That's who they are. Now, they weren't always that way. They learned and became. Does this make sense to you? Okay. And so you've got to understand that you have the control. You and you alone are directing the ship of your life. And the first rudder is your thinking, and the second rudder is your believing. You get your thinking and your believing correct, your action and result will automatically take care of itself. Bill, I've never worked a day in Primerica. I never felt like work. However, I probably worked harder than everybody on this call with the exception of you. That would be my guess, okay? So how is it didn't feel like work? Well, my thinking was clear. I want to become financially independent. My belief system was clear. I can become financially independent. And here's the things that would allow me to do that. Talking to 3 to 5 people a day, having a great attitude, being a crusader, never saying die, right? Always being tough. Those were my beliefs. And so my actions were I set 3 to 5 appointments every day. When I got kicked in the face, and I got kicked in the face plenty, I didn't let it bother me. I got back up because my belief was that's what I needed to do to have the life that I wanted. And is it any wonder, Bill, 10 years later, I had the life I wanted, right? Because my thinking and my believing were correct. So are my beliefs serving me? Are my beliefs serving me? Okay. And guys, listen, my goodness, I've got so much stuff I could give you on this. Okay. This is why you need mentors and standards and examples. Because when we judge ourselves only by ourselves, we always look right. Well, I'm the furthest ahead in my family. I'm the first one to go to college. I make more money, but you're still not winning. By your standards, you're pretty good. But by Bill Orender's standards, not so much. By Art Williams' standards, not so much. If you're not living your dreams, something in the T-bar process is off, okay? So we've got to understand. Let me give you really quickly, Bill, I'm going to give you a little bit of how-to, and then I'll share a couple of things with you, and then we'll answer and ask some questions, okay? So if we need to change our beliefs, how do we do this? There's a 3-step process. Easier said than done, but I'm going to give you the process, okay? Step number 1 is we've got to be aware that our beliefs, our thinking, and nothing else is the cause of the problem and the cause of the solution. We've got to become aware. As long as we're looking to others, the government, the compensation system, my upline, as long as we're looking to others, we are unaware that we hold the key, okay? That we hold the key. So we've got to become aware. We've got to recognize the belief systems that are not serving us. We've got to recognize them. How do we do that? Here's what I always did. Whenever I had a moment to get around somebody like Bill Orender, or I could listen to an audio, I wanted to know, how does this person think differently than me? How do they think? If they have what I want in my life, how are they thinking and believing differently than I am? Because that will be the key. That's where the change needs to take place, okay? So get around those people and ask, how do they think different than I think? We've got to recognize that. And thirdly, we've got to begin to replace the old thinking, the old believing, with new and more accurate belief systems. We've got to replace them, okay? You can't just eradicate them and leave a vacuum. You've got to trade a less than optimal belief for a more optimal belief. We don't have time to get into how to do this, but I'm going to give you guys a couple of resources that you can look into, okay, that will help you enormously. So, Bill, let's do some questions if that's okay. And then I've got a couple of totally free resources that you guys can plug into that will help you with a bunch of this stuff. And then I've got some stuff like if you really want to take a deep dive into learning how this stuff works and making some changes, I've got some more mastery level stuff that I'll show you too. But Bill, let's go ahead and do some questions.
I think one of the cornerstone negative beliefs is, if I was raised like you were raised, but I was raised in a negative environment, my parents never accomplished anything, tell people, number one, what your background was, your parents' background, and how none of that was conducive to your success today. And where did you get it from? How did you get on all this?
Yeah, so I grew up in Royal Oak, Michigan. It was a little blue collar town. My parents still live in the same 900 square foot house that we grew up in. They're wonderful people, good people, hardworking people. They just worked hard at not the right things, right? And so they never really accomplished anything of financial significance. Nobody in my family had any money on any side, anywhere. I didn't know. They taught me go to school, get a good job. They're not risk takers.
Your
Really,
dad was is a pastry chef even to this day.
Yeah, he just retired. Actually, he wouldn't let me retire. He's so proud. He kept working, but yeah, he's a pastry chef. My dad's a pastry chef. My mom works for a bank, and so it's they're wonderful people, but they couldn't teach me about this. In fact, when I started in the business, Bill, they wouldn't meet with me for like 3 months, and still to this day, no other person in my family besides my sister, no aunts and uncles, no cousins, no second cousins, nothing has ever met with me about Primerica. They wouldn't do it. They still wouldn't do it. And honestly, I stopped caring a long time ago, right? But it wasn't the upbringing. But what happened, Bill, is when I started working for the church, there was a man in my life who mentored me, and he started getting me to read books. And he told me something. He said, Ian, your life eventually will be the sum total of the books you read and the people that you associate with. And so he would give me books that were part of my job to read. And so I would read these things, and they began to expand my thinking. They began to show me different thought processes, different ways. And so when I found Primerica, I was already in the beginning stages of personal development. I was realizing I don't know enough here to get what I want. I better learn some more. And that started me on my quest. And it really came from a bunch of places. It came from mentors like you and Asad Faraj and people who challenged my vision. It came from the books that I read, the audios that I listened to. I remember buying my first nice sports car. I had a nice luxury sedan, but then I upgraded to a really nice sports car. And I was taking all my stuff out of the trunk of one car and putting it into the other. And there was a big old ream of CDs. Remember, we used to have the CDs. We put them in the burn CDs. It was like 300 CDs. They were all audios. And the sales guy said, well, what do you do to be able to afford a car like this? I showed him the CDs. I said, this is what I did. This is what I did. I learned all of this stuff to be able to do that. So that's how I learned it. And then as I went, I don't just accept what people tell me. I think them through and say, does this make sense? Is this a truth, or does it just sound nice? Is this a truth? Can I replicate this in my life?
And so another one is, real quickly, but my upline. I hear that all the time. In my upline, if I had you as an upline, so 100% of your people obviously are on the verge of $1 million earners, right? 100% of your people.
Yeah. So in our business, you don't need an upline, you need a downline, right? And so that's the first thing I would tell you. The second thing I would tell you is I've got plenty of people who don't win as well, who don't listen, who don't plug in, who don't take advice, just like you do and everybody else. And ultimately, again, that's that victim mentality. I'm limited by my upline. Bill, I make more than all my uplines, right? Except for maybe you, but everybody else is, I out-earn those people. They had nothing to do with my success or failure, right? All they could do was give me an example and an environment, and it was up to me to take those and do something with them, as it is for everybody else. But see that thinking, if you think, well, my upline, and that's your thought process, guess what that leads to in action? Nothing. Because why would I recruit people? Why would I bother getting better? Why should I listen to audios? Why would I do one of these courses? Why? You shouldn't. It doesn't make any sense, because your upline dooms you through his telepathy. He just dooms you like that, apparently, in your thinking, right? And so our thinking, our beliefs ultimately create our actions. See, I never thought that. So I got bigger than my upline. I built a bigger base shop. I built more first generations. I built all those things. And he's a great builder. It's not like he didn't do something. He did a lot, but I never saw myself as limited by them, because I wasn't. Neither are you.
Well, the last thing I'll ask you before I get into what do you do now? How do you help all of us get to new levels with the resources? Is a lot of times we start comparing ourselves to other people and comparing their success. And I've been at this thing for so long. I should be further ahead. Look at all these other guys. They got there faster than me. How do we fight the comparison game when we're all growing at different levels, and how do we increase the speed of our levels?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, it comes down to a belief, right? Many people believe I should have been further by now. If it was going to happen for me, it would have already happened. Those are false beliefs. It's going to happen when you are good enough to make it happen. And that's a tough truth, right? That's an awareness that, like, apparently I'm still lacking something. It's much easier to say it's just not meant for me. It wasn't God's will. It's not supposed to happen. It's easier to do that than to say I'm deficient in some area and let me find that deficiency and correct it. But you've just got to understand, right? Like, let me draw you a quick picture. Okay. This is really easy to understand. Here's your goal. Okay. And here is one person, and here's another person, and here's another person. Okay. And they need to go this way. Well, if this person starts here, and this person starts here, and this person starts here because of their thinking, their life experiences, what they've read, how they prepared themselves. Okay. This person is a heck of a lot closer to the goal than this one. Yes or yes? Okay. Now that doesn't mean that this person can't beat them there. It doesn't guarantee that this person even gets there. But you've got to understand that if you were like me, where you didn't have a lot of the things you needed coming in, then you're going to go more slowly at first. You've got a bigger distance to go before you start looking like this person. But we don't think that. We think everybody just starts at the same place, but that's just not true. What we did beforehand, our thinking, it starts us at different places, but it doesn't finish us at different places. Does that make sense? We don't discount that somebody may have started different or had a better skill set or something. Oh, I knew it. That's why they're winning. Okay, maybe, but you can develop that skill set too. You're not a tree. You can move. You can change. And even the trees change. Holy smokes. Okay. Even trees change. You can change. And so it's an erroneous belief to think that you should give up, because here's what I know. Giving up won't speed it up, right? Okay. You definitely won't win any faster by giving up or slowing down or diverting your focus. That's my favorite, Bill. I'm just going to take a couple of steps back. Well, don't fall off the cliff while you're doing that, okay? Right? Don't fall off the cliff. I've never met anybody, Bill, who won by taking steps back. Never met them. Never met them.
Well, we'll let you give us some resource. And one last thing I can ask all day long. It's obvious that you've never arrived. And you don't
I'm still learning.
Arrived. So I'm really encouraged that this is a lifelong journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm still learning. And one of the darndest things about learning, Bill, it's so frustrating, is the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. When you're a novice, you think you're an expert at everything. When you actually start becoming an expert at things, you realize, wow, there's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I need to get better at. It really is a lifelong journey, but it's a lifelong journey that's the most rewarding journey, because as you grow, as you become more valuable, you become more influential to the people around you. You make a bigger change. And I think that that's God's design in our life. As long as you have breath in your lungs, your best days are not behind you, they're ahead of you. If they were behind you, he'd have no need for you, just suck you up to heaven. Just say, we're out of here, right? But if you're living, if you're alive today, it means there's something more for you to do. There's someone more for you to become. And there's something great that's waiting for you and only you to do.
You know, the thought I have in what you're talking about here is, as you become the best version of yourself, you're taking so many other people with you than if you had short-circuited yourself and sold yourself short. You might grow better. You might make 100,000, but you're not taking anybody with you. Just briefly tell us some of the success of the people that are following you because you choose a life of greatness.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's probably the most rewarding part for me. You know, I was out shopping, watch shopping with John Cooper yesterday, and John just went over his 4th diamond. He'll have his 5th diamond in December. And I remember when John Cooper would steal cheese cubes from his office Christmas party because he was that poor. They had no food. Like he had no furniture in his house. He was that poor. I mean, they had nothing. They literally would eat out of food, like food kitchens, right? Like he had nothing. And to be able to be making $500,000 a year here is unbelievable. One of my guys at Second Generation, he's been in the business for a little over 2 years, made 85,000 2 months ago. He's averaging 40,000 a month 2 years into the business. I mean, it's just unbelievable. He's got $150,000 saved or something like that in 2 years in the business. I mean, it's just incredible to watch what happens because you didn't give up, right? If you're going to grow, people around you are going to grow or they're going to get gone. One of the two.
You know, you started out by showing us a picture hilariously of your summer home in Michigan, and I appreciate that. But you showed us the car you drive, and I've been in some of the cars you drive, and you drive, by the way, a sports car with a sports car mentality. I just want to put it that way.
That's the only way to drive it.
I buckled up my seatbelt twice, but and I truly wish this is going to be the last one. I wish you could have a picture for people of not. People see the house, they see the car, they see the lifestyle, but man, the big picture is all these people like Emmanuel Earls and John Cooper and all these successful people that would not be here if not for you, and the tens of thousands of death claims you're going to pay. So you're blessing, you bless other people when you become that kind of person that God wants you to be. And I'll stop there and you can talk about the resources now.
Absolutely. One last thing I'll say to that, Bill. Somebody was heckling Jeff Bezos about 6 months ago about being so rich, right? Jeff Bezos, you're worth $150 billion. Who should be worth $150 billion? And what he says is, well, but I helped people become trillionaires. That's how I got 150 billion. He's like, that's my stock, but Amazon enriches the lives of virtually every person in the civilized world. They get things easier. They have more time with their families, less stress in their lives. They have more money to save. And my shareholders, the people who are in business, I made them $1 trillion. And that's why I got 150 billion. Does that make sense? And so that's what, that's what our business model is. You can have all the things you want in your life only by helping a lot of other people have the things they want in their life. So Bill, it's an honor to be able to share this with you. Let me just kind of show you guys, because again, like 40 minutes just simply is not enough time to be able to do this. So I'm going to show you a couple of great resources here. Okay. The first is, if you're not following me on Instagram, everybody grab your phone out real quick. Everybody grab your phone and go to Instagram. And in the little search bar, just type in @Ian Prukner, okay? And go follow me on there. Literally every day, Bill, I'm putting out bread for the head, right? Helping people think better, helping to inspire them, give them vision. It's totally free, right? Like, why not? You get so many people like, the world's gonna end and you better do this, right? And why not have somebody who's like happy and showing you great things and inspiring you to be awesome, right? Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do. Second thing is, I have a podcast out. It's totally free. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Spotify. Okay. And subscribe to that. It's totally free. And listen, every month I drop some things that are going to help you think better, right? New thinking, new beliefs, create new and better actions and results. Okay. Anything Primerica related, Bill, that I've ever produced, our recruiting, our kitchen table, how we overcome objections, how we get a new person off to a fast start, all of our entire system is located on the Best Price System on Facebook. So if you open Facebook and you're not a part of that group, okay, you can just search Best Price System. It's totally free. Everything I've ever made about Primerica is on here. And it's free. You take it, you do whatever you want, give it to your team, train on it. It's yours. It's our gift to you. We want to help you grow in that area. So here's a couple of things that are, a little bit of an investment of time and resources. But I believe if you got some value out of this, and especially if you're like, you know what, I'm tired of knowing what to do, but not doing what to do. I need to make a change. I recorded a couple of master classes. The one on the left, Bill, is from my book, and it's exactly how to change your thinking. How do I change my beliefs? Step by step. This is a 9-hour master class. Okay. It's got an 88-page workbook. There's 60 exercises to do the process of changing your thinking. All right, I want to change my thinking, but how? This is the how. It's going to take you about 30 hours to get through this. I wouldn't do it in 1 or 2 settings. I do it an hour a day for a month or a half an hour a day for 2 months. If you're interested in that, Bill, it's like a 75% off discount code. Just text the word byproduct. You see the bottom left to 484848. Just text the word byproduct to 484848. And they'll send you that link, and it's super discounted. Don't just buy it online. It's 4 times more expensive. And then I did a recruiting bootcamp masterclass where I talked about, Bill, the mindset of the recruiter. This is not Primerica specific. This is, why do people join things? Why do they not join things? Why can some people recruit like crazy and other people struggle? It's the mentality, it's the thinking, it's the belief systems to become an incredible recruiter where it just happens naturally for you. Again, there's a workbook, there's a ton of exercises. You just text masterclass to 484848. Okay. And we'll send you out the link to that. And then many of you know I'm doing a time mastery workshop in a couple of weeks. Go on my Instagram profile. There's a link there. 3-night boot camp, hour a night on how to get more done in less time and have fun doing it. So Bill, man, listen, it's always an honor to be able to spend time with you. You're my hero. You've made such a big difference in Jessica and I's life. And thank you so much for having us on here. And guys, please use the free resources. Use them, use them, use them. And it's an honor to be able to spend a little bit of time with you guys.
Thank you, Ian. One last thing. You said earlier, no one worked harder than you. And I believe that in my life, for a period of time, no one worked harder than you. For a period of time in my life, nobody in this company's history for a period of time worked harder than me. So it isn't just thinking, it isn't just power, it isn't just belief. It has to end in action, which creates the result. So it's not just sitting there thinking. You went out there and created all this activity. And if you talk about how when you wanted a surge, you went out and recruited 5 directs in 1 month, and you just drilled to China with those 5 directs. Every time you wanted a surge.
Yep. Yeah. So again, it goes back. The thinking and the action are tied together. That's the point, right? Like, if I'm like, I need to make something happen here, that's my belief. Like, I've got to do something now. And that drives me to action. I don't want to be where I am next month, next year, next decade. I want to do something different. This is how I'm going to do it. And that was my belief. My belief, Bill, was if I recruited, and it was 1-5, it was 10. I recruited double-digit directs 3 different times in a month in my career. And all 3 of them were a result of a decision, a belief that was what was going to change my business. I'm just going to recruit so many people this month. I've got no other option but to make this thing explode. That was my belief. If I did that, I would see an explosion. And so when I did those things, that's what I watched 100% of the time. Yep. The belief's got to lead to action. If it doesn't lead to action, you don't really believe it.
It's amazing you say that, because on 4 separate occasions, I went out and recruited 10 directs with that same belief system. Yep. Isn't that amazing?
Success leaves clues, right?
Yes. You've been you're not a genius. You're a self-made man. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the life that you're giving your family. I'm proud of the life that you're giving other people like you. I'm proud of all the widows and orphans that you're going to pay death claims to. And I'm proud of the generations that are going to come from this a Zoom call that are going to multiply. And so your teachings and training and your lessons are not going to go for naught. Thank you very much, Ian.
Thanks, Bill. See you later, Century Club. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.